Cars 3 left a surprising impact on me because it made me see something, and it's that everyone will get replaced no matter how great you are. And before I get any deeper into this video, I want to make it clear that this is my opinion, and I'm trying my absolute hardest to not upset anyone. One day you'll be forgotten about, no matter how significant of a person you are. Legends like Michael Jordan, Ronaldo, or Messi. I know the last two I mentioned aren't retired, but it shows you that time really catches all of us. To me as a kid, Lightning McQueen was unstoppable, so even the thought of him slowing down wouldn't make sense to me. I've mentioned this before in my previous videos about Cars. He was literally my childhood, and I've never obsessed over a movie or franchise like how I did with Cars. And so, when I watched Cars 3, seeing Lightning go full throttle, then all of a sudden losing traction and flying through the air, I got to see time catch Lightning. He was human after all. He wasn't that unstoppable rookie we've seen in Cars 1 or that confident racer we saw in Cars 2. He was getting older, and for the first time we saw him not be the fastest anymore. He was slowly becoming a shell of himself. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that for a second. After the amount of criticism that Cars 2 got, Pixar needed to come back with something that was gonna be generational. They needed to aim for that similarity that Cars 1 gave us, not the gadgets and guns that they tried going for in the sequel. And I understand that, of course. Many people wanted to walk into the theaters to see Lightning McQueen prove everyone wrong in this movie, and to win just one last Piston Cup, which honestly is what I wanted. But after growing up, I look at this movie in a bit of a different lens. A lot of people, including myself, get upset when we look at the ending. Instead of looking at the end of this franchise, we should look at the journey that Lightning went through. Being that racer that didn't have proper friends, not having a proper community, to all of a sudden having so many friends around him and being a happy person. Cars 3 didn't show us Lightning McQueen being on a revenge arc and wanting to be the fastest. It showed us that it's okay to slow down in life. I keep saying this, time will catch us all. Now on to Jackson Storm. I truly think that he is the most clever villain in Pixar history. Not the strongest, or most evil, or the coolest. He is just a very well written villain. Because he isn't that classic villain that is trying to destroy the main character or destroy the world. He doesn't cheat or try to ruin anyone's life. It's simple, yet terrifying and heartbreaking to see. Think about Chick Hicks for a second. This guy wanted to ruin everyone's career. He'd purposely try to ram people into walls, he talked trash all the time, and he didn't really care what people thought of him. I would always wonder to myself, how is this guy not getting suspended or anything? Anyway, on the other hand, Jackson doesn't need to do those ridiculous things like how Chick was doing. All he'd do is train. He's younger, he's more technologically advanced, and he uses equipment that Lightning has never even had before. He's just the future, and I think that's what was worrying Lightning so much. And every athlete will eventually meet someone that can easily keep up with them. Someone faster, someone stronger. I've seen it in basketball and I've seen it in soccer and a few other sports. Eventually you won't be in your prime forever, and that goes for everyone, even the ones at the very top of their game. It's truly so sad seeing Lightning just trying everything he can to stay in front. He's driving as hard as he can, he doesn't want to slow down, and you can just see the desperation in his eyes. Wanting to stay young, wanting to remain that confident racer that no one had a chance of stopping. I hate to say it, but you could tell that he doesn't want to believe that times are changing and it's slowly coming to an end for him. And he drives faster and faster until it happens. Everything goes wrong. We saw probably the most shocking moment in Pixar history. It's not a scene like Finn McMissile fighting a bunch of cars in Tokyo. It's not a scene where Chick Hicks nearly kills Strip Weathers. It's a scene where Lightning isn't even racing against anyone anymore. He's racing against time. And that's something that you just shouldn't even race. We see him tumbling across the track, seeing all his friends alongside the crowd go silent. This scene gave me chills every time I watched it. The way it's represented is truly heartbreaking. Throughout the first two movies, Lightning would never let obstacles get in his way. He'd always figure out what to do and what not to do. And that's what made this scene incredibly emotional. Fast forward a few months later, we get to see Lightning back at the place where he found his peace, Radiator Springs. But this time he's in a much more emotional state. He's thinking about his crash. He's really on the edge about continuing racing or not. Is this how his career ends? And this is the point where Cars 3 drifts away from racing and aims more towards Lightning's actual life. It touches everyone because everyone can relate to this. If you're in a sport or if you're just getting a little bit older in life, you can literally sense the things around you moving forward, and then there'll be you, just stuck and feeling like everything is out of your reach. That's the deep personal feeling that Cars 3 managed to touch in every single one of us. Now let's talk about more of a misunderstood character in this movie, Cruz Ramirez. I've seen a ton of people saying that she ruined the ending and that Lightning should have just completed his final race with all the effort he's put into training. Which, I can't lie, I wanted that to happen, and even more badly when I was a kid. I remember being so annoyed that she raced instead of Lightning. I really wanted him to just prove everyone wrong one last time. What a comeback story that would have been. An amazing racer who's now a veteran giving it his all for one last race. And then I realized something. Cruz didn't replace Lightning. Lightning was simply passing the torch and allowed her to become that version that he once was. We saw that McQueen thought she was really annoying and difficult to deal with, Kind of like how him and Mater met. He's irritated because how can someone who's never raced before help him how to win a race? And that reminds me of a legend we saw in the first movie, Doc Hudson. We saw him and Lightning constantly argue about the littlest things until they eventually settled down. And how I started looking at it is Cars 3 flips that around where Lightning is now the one in Doc's position and none of us even realized it. All of us, including McQueen, expected that she never knew anything about being a racer. She was simply someone that just knew a bunch of facts. Lightning wasn't willing to be taught by someone that has never experienced at least a tiny bit of what he has. And slowly, we found out about the truth. Cruz wanted to race more than anything. She was putting all of her effort into it until her confidence and fear got in the way. She believed that she couldn't do it, and so many people told her that as well, to the point where she ended up believing it. She was surrounded by negativity, and eventually she consumed it, and that's something that even I can relate to. It's just so realistic. We all have dreams. We all want to be great at something, whether if it's YouTube, sports, school, or starting a business. I could go on about it forever. So many people fail at things, and the main reason won't even be because they're bad at it. It's because sometimes it's so difficult to just believe in yourself. And that's something that happens to so many people. Moving forward, I want to talk about one of my favorite parts of this movie, Thomasville. When we see Lightning drive into that town, the atmosphere and the energy of the movie changes. It gave me that feeling of Radiator Springs when we saw it for the first time. We're on dirt roads and garages from so many years ago and classic race cars from Doc's time. And we meet a great character in Smokey. Smokey is way older than Lightning, so he knows that it's simply just not possible for Lightning to be the fastest racer anymore. It's just not possible. But he teaches Lightning how to use his experience to his advantage. He needs to be smarter. He needs to be more patient, instead of just driving in headfirst as a young rookie like how he would back then. And Lightning needed to learn that. He just wants to keep chasing his younger self. He's already growing into someone new, and Lightning needs to realize that slowing down isn't a bad thing. He should just accept it rather than trying so hard to deny it. And then we got an insanely powerful scene. Smokey told Lightning that after Doc went into retirement, he found something that he loved just as much as racing, if not more, and that was training Lightning. One of the greatest racers of all time, the fabulous Hudson Hornet, enjoyed training another racer more than he loved racing himself. And that honestly made me look at the movie in a different lens as well. And it showed how you can always find a different purpose or passion. It's true, of course, that Doc lost a big part of himself when he went into retirement, but he found something new, and now Lightning is the one entering that stage in his life. He is literally about to be in the same place that Doc once was in for him. Another thing that I want to touch back on that I was speaking about previously is how Storm and McQueen's rivalry worked so well together. Essentially, Jackson is who Lightning was in the beginning of the first movie, young, untouchable, unbeatable. Meanwhile, Lightning is already touching down on the end of his career. We saw Lightning grow out of that stage that Storm is in now. It's just a generation of old versus young colliding into each other. And after Lightning sees that he can't just beat this new generation, he decides to help someone in the younger generation, and that's Cruz. And once again, this is just amazing writing. And now we're going to be talking about one of the more difficult parts of this movie. The Florida 500. McQueen has been preparing for this for a long time. He sacrificed so much and just wants to have one last chance. And if he loses this, he's hanging it up. He's done with racing, and we won't ever see him win another Piston Cup. We won't ever see him be that same racer that was destroying Chick Hicks and Strip Weathers. It's his final race if he loses. And I felt so much pressure watching my childhood hero be in this position. Lightning is giving it everything he has. And it's the same thing again. Jackson is still able to just win effortlessly. We're all realizing that this next generation is just a little too fast. And after, we saw something that completely changes the direction of this movie. Lightning hears Sterling talking to Cruz, as if Cruz is just nothing but a worthless trainer, and that her dream doesn't mean anything. Lightning heard this, and it reminded him of that conversation he had with Smokey, and he remembered Doc and everything that they taught him. And in this moment, he made the most difficult decision of his career. He let someone else take control. I was so upset and mad when I saw this for the first time. I stood up and I was complaining that Lightning put his all into this race. To just give it up? I seriously thought that Pixar completely torched the ending. But now, I really do think it was a difficult decision, but a very smart one that Pixar made. To make Lightning grow, for us to watch his character develop. It really displayed a difference from Lightning just giving up after a crash, compared to training and putting all his effort into this next race, to eventually see that he's just not enough. And after that, he decides that maybe the next chapter in his life is coaching. He wants to help someone else live his dream that he once did, the same way Doc did. Doc became Lightning's mentor, which led him to being one of the greatest racers ever, arguably the best. And I don't see there being any ending better. And let's be honest, Cruz deserved this win. After all the struggles and obstacles she went through, and spending years doubting herself, thinking that she's not good enough, she was just someone who thought that the lights were too bright for her, and that hits personally for so many people. I'm so happy that Cruz got the opportunity, and it was amazing seeing Lightning be so proud of her the same way Doc was proud of him. Cruz won the race because she is incredibly smart. She's fast and she knows so many techniques and she learned from the best. We even saw Jackson finally break character and try to push her into a wall, and I think we all know how familiar that sounds. But this time it's different. We got to see her push through and win. I really don't think Cars 3 was mainly about racing, as much as we got it throughout this movie. This movie displayed accepting change, because to most people, change is really frightening. Everyone hates to admit that they're getting older, and the one thing that I want to talk about that's so significant is Lightning's character development. We see in the first movie, Lightning go from a character that's arrogant, all the way to giving up a piston cup. In Cars 2, we see him learning that trust means a lot, and that he should always stand by the people that would stand by him when he didn't realize it. And in Cars 3, we see Lightning slowly letting go. As much as he doesn't want to, he's confused. He doesn't know what a life outside racing looks like. It took some time for him to accept it, but when he finally did, he became just as happy, coaching someone to win just like how he would. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you made it this far, comment if you want. I'll try my absolute best to reply to you.